Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we've got a final box office preview for the film Morbius, which is set to come out this weekend. Yes, indeed, coming out tomorrow night officially with its Thursday night premiere, and then opening up wide on Friday. And the numbers are looking pretty much the same. If you've been following the channel, you know that I have already covered what the long-range forecasting for Morbius is over on Box Office Pro, with the range of the opening weekend being between $40 and $50 million. But Deadline does have a little bit more of a grounded take, though it does also concede that these numbers are possible. So before diving into these numbers and what this means for Morbius going forward, please make sure that you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So I once again want to thank every single person out there, especially new subscribers, for helping the channel get to over 25,000 subscribers. Again, never thought that that'd be possible. Again, it's been an amazing run. Never thought that just a regular everyday school teacher doing this for fun would be able to reach out to so many who have a similar passion for movies, for box office, for numbers, or just for general information or just having fun. So thank you again. It's been a fun ride, and it's going to be fun to see where this thing goes in the future as well. So, as you can see from Deadline, from one of our favorite writers, Anthony D'Alessandro, he says there, Morbius, Sony sinking teeth this weekend into deeper part of the Marvel genre canon. Box office preview. Always love the headlines that he comes up with. Says Sony is further exploiting its end of the Marvel franchise this weekend with the long-delayed Jared Leto dark hero title Morbius, booked at 4,200 locations. Man, the Marvel vampire protagonist feature is eyeing a studio expected opening of $33 million, but could get as high as $40 to $50 million. The movie, which at one point in 2020 was scheduled to come out before Venom Let There Be Carnage and Spider-Man No Way Home, will no doubt keep the good vibe wave of box office openings going as moviegoers became more comfortable during the pandemic. Last weekend, Paramount brought the cautious older female demographic back with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum's romantic comedy adventure The Lost City, which debuted at $30.4 million. The movie should ease by 40% in its second go-round with around $18 million. Oh, man. Yeah, so once again, that film still needs to do a little bit more in order to make its money back. But, let's not talk about that. Let's just, try and spin it as the most successful. Remember how they spun that last weekend? They spun it as the most successful female-led comedy in the pandemic era. That was the record that it supposedly broke. Morbius, I'm sure that they'll come up with some random record for it as well, or they'll tear it to shreds and tear it to pieces. I think that this is definitely a movie that's going to be divisive. I think there's some people that are going to just be like, hey, I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride, enjoying the stupid fun, while there's others that are going to tear it apart because just even based on the trailers, there are definitely some things that seem a little bit cringe. Though I will say, as much of a snob as I can be when it comes to CGI, the CGI, in my opinion, from the trailers is the least offensive part of the trailer. So take that for what it's worth. But I'm actually not that concerned as far as CGI, especially based on the fact that the budget for this film is expected to be only around $75 million. And again, at least that's what's being reported. We, of course, will see if that number gets updated at all, since this film was delayed several years. And obviously the marketing costs are going to be a lot higher than a typical film will be. But because we don't have access to those numbers, we'll have to just assume regular marketing cost and assume the regular typical break-even number because of that point. But the opening weekend being around $33 million is what the studio is saying. The studio always tends to lowball. I think that means that Sony does expect this film to do better than what they expect, which means that $40 to $50 million is actually probably a lot more likely than it was before, right? With a long-range forecast coming from Box Office Pro, they have their own algorithm, their own way of calculating these things, and so they rely a little bit less on what the studios think the film is going to do and more so on audience reaction, on social media presence, on obviously different historical precedents as well. Also about how other films are doing in previous weekends. And so as you can see, over time, they have adjusted their numbers. This last adjustment they had actually was down 16%. So I imagine that their final numbers, when they release them over the next couple of days, will probably be around the same number, if not maybe a little bit lower. But what I'm more interested in is especially that long-range domestic range, because that film is not expected to have an easy chance or easy job of reaching $100 million domestically. It could very well do so, but it doesn't look like it has the strongest chance of doing so, at least at this point, based on the current projections. And as you know, I always say, until the actual money starts rolling in, until we have actual data to look at, all of this is pure speculation at this point in time. But as you can see, the movie is still expected to do, again, number one at the box office for the domestic marketplace. But $40-50 million, just to be honest, just that even that itself really isn't all that good for a film like this. It really isn't that anything all that special. And I think that this is definitely something where Sony has really been getting very, very lucky with this film with a lot of their films as of late, because they have really not spent a whole lot of money on them. They've been able to market them just right in order to get the right amount of people and the right kind of people to show up, or rather, they've been marketing to the people that are actually going to show up to their films enough to make themselves be able to break even. And I think because of that smart strategy, which again, you would think any studio would be able to do, it has been quite successful for them in order to make their money back and also to make some profit to boot. But as you can see, that number, $75 million, which was being reported by Variety, and again, that was back on March 16th, so relatively recently did we get that production budget. But as you can see, there was a lot of post-production nightmare and just nonsense. It's just reshoots for the film in Los Angeles. We're beginning February of 2020. We're finished later on in that month. And then you can see, of course, that the film kept getting delayed. I think it's quite fitting that this film is getting released on April Fool's Day, because honestly, it would not surprise me. I don't think this is going to happen. But if they announce randomly last minute, by the way, we're going to delay this film again because we just don't know exactly what this film's going to do. It just really would not honestly surprise me all that much. But because of that $75 million production budget, it needs to make around $187 million in total to break even. And if it is expected to make roughly around 100 or a little less than $100 million domestically, all it then needs to do is make about $85 to $100 million internationally, and then it's broken even. And I think that it'll do that pretty easily. I would not be surprised if this film ends probably somewhere close to the $300 million worldwide range. Of course, if it has a pretty massive opening, if it has a higher than expected opening, then that number could be even higher. But even just being around $300 million, which is really not all that much in the grand scheme of things, because they have been able to figure out how to spend as little as possible and market films and also create films that are not as long, meaning they can have more show times, which means more money. They've really been able to figure out exactly how to make a quick buck off of films that may not be all that great. And again, haven't seen Morbius yet. Can't say whether the film is going to be good or not just based on the trailers, though. It just seems like more of a middling Sony Marvel crossover film, kind of similar to the Venom universe, right? I haven't been a big fan of the Venom universe. I wasn't a fan of the first Venom film. Venom 2, even though I think that arguably it is a bad film, I at least had fun with Venom 2. Like, it was one of those, like, it's so bad it's actually fun, and I was in a theater that ended up having a lot of fun with it too. So I think that definitely helped my experience. Morbius just seems to come across more so as that kind of a movie, which again is going to appeal to certain audiences and certain demographics. And I think that is going to ultimately push this film over to the edge. And ultimately, it does, obviously, when we talk about films and we talk about the success of films, a big part of their success is going to be whether or not they're able to make their money back. Does it make a film good, whether a film makes its money back or whether a film makes $1 billion? But it does obviously tell the studio whether or not a property is worth them sinking their teeth into and sinking their money into as well. Also, just to talk a little bit more about some of the other films. So I found out a little bit more about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Apparently, it is like this horror thriller type film where someone finds out that they basically exist in a multiverse, but it's not a superhero film. So it's actually going to be interesting to see a multiverse storyline outside of a superhero genre, because I don't know, I just find that to be a little bit more interesting. It is an A24 release. It does star, I believe, Michelle Yeoh is in the film. So it's got a really great, solid actress in the movie, and I think that it could be a really awesome independent film that could really be very good. And then, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Father Stu, of course, being the one that I'm looking forward to the most. But just wanted to share that bit of update with you, that not just from BoxOfficePro.com, but even from Deadline, they are indeed saying $40-50 million is likely for the weekend, though the studio is around 33. And again, I think that their $40-50 million is based on the fact that Sony notoriously lowballs their projections, and they have always exceeded those projections, especially during the COVID era. But what are y'all's thoughts? Do you think that Morbius is going to be good. Do you have your tickets already for Morbius? I just got reminded that I should probably get my tickets for Morbius, though. To be honest, I don't think I have to really rush all that much because I don't think the film is going to be selling tickets like hotcakes. So I'll probably have an update on that probably in tomorrow's video after I buy my tickets, because I think I am going to try, depending on my schedule, I'm going to try and see if I might be able to be able to get tickets to go see Morbius. That way I can let y'all know whether or not the film is bad, or whether or not the film is actually a surprise gem. I doubt that very much, but again, who knows? And that's more so because of my thoughts on Jared Leto in these leading roles than anything else. But what are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, light up that fire button on Odyssey. Y'all are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my March Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members. Starting off first with my Patreon members, animation commentator Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Fuzz Aldrin, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymason, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Chat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Rosetta Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and of course Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. Also, a shout out to my Subscribe Star members, starting off with Trent Johnson, Matt 317, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Storm Tracker, The R, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK Man. And a final shout out to my Locals members, Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, and Robert Barnes. And lastly, a huge shout out to my newest Locals member, Brett D90. Thanks, man. Thank you all so very much for being supporters, monthly supporters of the channel. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every single live stream and every single video, please check out the pinned, the very top link in the video description. It is noted as the Willow link there. It'll bring you to basically a link tree of all the different places that you can support on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or on Locals. And also there are other tiers that you can get access to as well, including an Army of Asgard level where you get not only the shout out, but you also get access to a giveaways channel that I have on my Discord, where you get offers of giveaways, or rather you get access to giveaways of 4K titles, Blu-rays, digital codes, all kinds of stuff, steelbooks. It's just, I'm giving away stuff all the time over there, and it's a lot of fun as well. So go check that out if you're interested. There's also the Keeper of the Bifrost level, which is the higher level up than that, and you get everything from the previous tiers. Plus, you get access to a once or twice a month podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where you get to ask us Q&A, right? You get to ask us questions, any question that you like, movie or non-movie related. We will answer them once, maybe twice a month. We're trying to work on a second opportunity for us to have a show, but right now it's at least once a month. So again, you get access with that with the Keep of the Bifrost level. And then there is the Chosen of Valhalla level, the very premium level, where you get access to all of those things. Plus, you get to be featured on the channel once a month with me and the other Chosen members, where we talk about movies and stuff. Anything really that the Chosen want to talk about. And it's always a very fun discussion. We usually have about 3.5 hour discussion. So again, that's what you get access to at the Chosen of Valhalla level. Also, you get a free t-shirt during your first month. All you need to do is just let me know what t-shirt you want from the store, and also their size, location, etc. And I send those out anywhere in the world. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Thank you all so very much again for your love and for your support. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.